remember those backups that I've been struggling with all for the past couple of days? Well, they're hampering me from being able to complete the song because the things that I'm backing up are on a disc that my Native Instruments stuff sits on, and my Omnisphere stuff sits on, my Keyscape stuff sits on. So every time I try to use any of that stuff, it's acting really weird because it's still backing up. So the way that I have my backup set up is like a differential, meaning that initially it has to take a copy of it at the start, which can take a long time. But after that, it will only make changes or take copies of a change. But I have to be able to get a full blended copy first to be able to do it. But I wanted to show you what I was doing. So I've been trying to get back used to using Ableton again, because as you know, I use the Force for like bringing songs in and building them, just because it's convenient for me and I don't have to turn on the computer and screw around with stuff. I can just sit down and just push a button and start playing. But I've always struggled with doing that directly with Ableton because of the latency. I was hoping by experimenting with the new latency-free recording in Ableton that I would have a better experience, but it is not working out for me at all. It's almost like the latency is still there, and it's still as weird as it was before. So every time I try to play, it's almost like almost a full millisecond behind. So when I look at my recordings, when I bring them in, they're like a millisecond behind. I have to pull everything forward to make it match. So I think, again, the reason why that I started using the Force was for that reason, even though it still has latency as well, but it just doesn't have as much latency as what I get from the computer. And I was hoping that Ableton would have resolved that for sure now. And I do realize that I probably need to spend a little bit more time and tweaking my probably my buffer settings. That would probably help me some, but I'm gonna have to tinker around with it. But at least I want to show you what I came up with this, where I was. Okay, so that's kind of where I am. But the thing is that I was trying to clean up my transitions, and I was going to add like maybe kind of a build up in there. But when you can't play it the way that you hear it because of the latency and the lag, it makes it even more extreme. So, and I'm not really good at like typing things in like some people are. I actually have to play it And it's weird. I mean, I know what the notes are and stuff, but if I don't play it, I don't know, I can't translate it. And I know that's really weird. It's weird. It's weird to me because I know what the notes are. But trying to do it on the screen, it's like I have trouble with that. And what's really funny is that I've been tinkering around with doing my 808s on the screen, like typing them in. And for the most part, I have to force myself into a specific key and then just kind of mess with it. Because that's not how I would play it. Which makes it sound just a little bit different from what I want it to sound like sometimes. But I'm working on it. My transitions are something that I struggle with. Coming up with new ideas for transitions is, I don't know, it's like a challenge. So I have to really start listening to different types of music and really being more creative with the way that I change things up. That's one thing that I know about myself that I need to improve. But as far as a growth perspective, the thing that I see that has changed the most with me is placement and sound design efforts that I'm putting in. Over the past 5 years, I've spent a lot of time just listening to blending noise and a lot of harmonic elements together. So when I sit down and I start listening to things, I can hear like lots of things at harmonic levels. So I try to focus on that and not have it be overwhelming, which is why I don't have problems with like making things sound different, like changing up like the verse and the choruses and making them sound completely different from each other. It's just transitioning between the two is always like my Achilles heel. So I'm working on it, and from where I started years ago to where I am now, sound from a song perspective is like night and day. When I listen to a lot of that old stuff where I started, it's like it doesn't even sound, I don't even sound like the same person to me. So I know that I'm improving, and I know that the time that I do put in on stuff has helped me tremendously. The guitar stuff is getting there. I just have to be really patient with myself. It takes me a while to build up like a pattern to be able to play. That pattern that I came up with, it took me at least a good hour. I had to figure out what the chords were first. And that's the other thing, is translating keyboard to guitar is totally different. Stringed instruments are just very different. They're in fourths, and the stuff that I'm playing is in like sevenths. So translating that over to guitar is different. And I think at some point I'm going to have like a light bulb moment in my brain where when I sit down and play piano, I'll be able to instantly translate it to guitar because I know where I am from a chord perspective. But getting there hasn't happened yet because I haven't spent enough time on the fretboard to really memorize where everything is. I'm just now getting to the point to where I feel a little bit more confident about my finger placement. But it's a work in progress. But I just have to, again, be patient with myself, and I know what it is I'm trying to achieve from a sound design perspective too. I experimented with a lot of effects. I know you guys see that. I have like a lot of effects. There's something about effects to me that will breathe life into even the most ugly sound. It could be like a terrible sounding something, but if I find like the right effect, maybe a delay, maybe a chorus, maybe a flanger, maybe something filtered, modulated, then I can alter the way that it sounds to make it fit into the mix. So that is what I've been doing. Again, trying to get back into the groove of things, trying to step up my songwriting skills and build up my repertoire again. I think maybe sometimes the universe really forces you into a box so that you can come out fighting. And I feel like that's what I'm doing right now, because the material that I'm coming up with as of late sounds nothing like what I was doing 5 years ago. So even if I did have all that stuff that I had 5 years ago, it probably wouldn't make a difference. It wouldn't be the same. And I would end up scrapping any of the stuff that I had then and be more working on something that I'm working on now. So it's all good. That's all I've got. Have a good one. See you on the next one.